about my city, a little town where I'm from, where everybody's southern raised, just as good as they come. Backwoods and mossy oak and mud holes. And back then we only ate what the farm grow. Man, I miss some days how we played on them dirt roads. And out of towners came with respect, cause they know we all close. Yeah, Southern pride, toting gun folks. Welcome to my city, I-75 South, just north of Lava.
I'm from a city called Austin, Georgia, right on the border of Florida. I was raised on these dirt roads, mud tires, spin backwoods when they ride. This is small town living, yeah. Now welcome to my city. Title town, 229, turn it up so they can hear it loud. We headed up with big trucks and heavy G's. Pretty girls with moonshine and whiskey.
It's nothing like our dirt roads, you can bet that, son. I'm from a city, by any means we gon' protect our guns. I hang with the rednecks and geekies. We get up in big trucks in the backwoods like Indians and teepees. This the home of the mighty, mighty Vikings. Wildcats, blazing, title town license. Winners, pretty girls with country grammar. When I say about Austin, Georgia, I ain't talking about Atlanta. This a different type of city, where the woods are pretty, but get gritty. You hear me? What you know about that 229? You can find us on the Florida, Georgia line, where I reside.
I'm from a city called Austin, Georgia, right on the border of Florida. I was raised on these dirt roads, mud tires, spin backwoods when we ride. This is small town living, yeah. Now welcome to my city. Title town, 229, turn it up so they can hear it loud. We headed up with big trucks and heavy G's. Pretty girls with moonshine and whiskey. Moonshine and whiskey.
Some folks really don't understand how important it is and never forget where you came from. You know, when I say Lowndes County, man, I mean Lowndes County.
I'm from a city called Austin, Georgia, right on the border of Florida. I was raised on these dirt roads, mud tires, spin backwoods when we ride. This is small town living, yeah. Now welcome to my city. Title town, 229, turn it up so they can hear it loud. We headed up with big trucks and heavy G's. Pretty girls with moonshine and whiskey.
Hey, it's Thursday night, and you guys know what time it is, right? I don't have to tell you. It's time for the Viking Nation Live, and I'm your host, Larry Godwin. We're going to have some fun tonight. It's always fun when you're coming off a win, and boy, was it a big win. It was a huge win. See Chase Garnto in the backstage clapping thunderously. You can probably still hear him clapping all across Lowndes County. But man, oh man, I'm still kind of riding a post-Lowndes win over Grayson High. Now, some people in this town, some other sports personalities in this town have basically said Lowndes fans shouldn't feel that way because it's expected and that kind of stuff. Forget that. It was a huge win, and we're going to celebrate it like it was a huge win. You know why? Because our team may have expected to win, but nobody else in the state did. And that's the honest truth. And many of you out there didn't either. A lot of doubters were watching last week as Chase and I were breaking down this game. You know who you are. You know who you are. And if we're honest about it, we were part of that crowd too, right? We all expected Grayson, the number 2 team in the state, ranked nationally. Oh, by the way, the second nationally ranked team that Lowndes has faced this year, roll into Martin Stadium and have to face not just the Lowndes Viking football team, but they had to face that 12th man, the Georgia Bridgman, and they had to face that 13th man, that what's the right word for it? Not hostile. I don't like the word hostile, but a very, very rambunctious crowd that night. Everybody played their part to a T. And Martin Stadium, let me take that back. I have heard it that loud before, but it's a rare occasion when it's that loud. I was on the opposing sideline, standing next to our chains guys during the big moment of the game when the Grayson offense was down there right in front of the band, and the band just got that warning sent on them, and it just sent the crowd into a frenzy. It was so loud. I was trying to talk to one of the chain guys, they're Lowndes guys that are holding the chains down there. I was trying to talk to him, and I was standing right next to him, and I could not hear him because the crowd was so loud. It was fantastic. It was awesome. Keep it up. So anyway, let me go ahead and welcome in our superfan Chase Garnto. Chase, you still riding a Grayson win high?
In the words of an old friend of mine, Vikings.
Your audio cut out on you, but we read your lips, man. You said, "How about them Vikings?"
I was part of the ones that, I'll be honest with you, I was part of the ones that had a little bit of doubt. Honestly.
Yeah. Listen, man, you may have to cut out the AirPods because your audio is coming out.
And
You may just have to go with your regular phone audio.
can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Perfect.
Yeah. I was part of the ones that honestly was part of the doubters, dude. I mean, I knew we could play with them.
Yeah.
But as far as how long we could play with them.
I got you. Yeah, so
They come out and did exactly what I said that they needed to do.
exactly right. So let me before we get to the festivities and talk about the game in general and kind of a recap before we launch into the Winnersville Classic coverage part 1, because our Vikings are off this week. So we'll have a little bit of coverage tonight, trying to prepare or prep for that game. And then next week, we are just going to have a blowout type of show next week to talk about the Winnersville Classic. So we'll start that process tonight. But anyway, before we get to that, let me go ahead and thank some of our sponsors. Thank you so much to Pepsi Bottling Company, makers of Pepsi, Mountain Dew Rockstar, Mountain Dew Energy, Mountain Dew Spark. Got a little spark? Or if you need a little spark, it's always a good thing. I see you drinking some dew yourself there. So thank you to Doyer Deloach and all the guys at Pepsi Bottling Company for sponsoring our program tonight. And all season long, they are the title sponsor. We also want to thank our favorite stick man. You guys know him as Tim Neesmith, owner of A Shade of Perfection. Well, it doesn't matter how high the winds get or don't get. If your home needs a makeover in terms of curb appeal, one quick way to do that, guys, is get your windows redone, get your shades and custom blinds installed. Tim Neesmith is your guy. 229-251-3479, and tell them the Viking Nation sent you. We also want to thank the Migraine and Spine Clinic of Valdosta. The migraine moment this week is are those pesky Rams from Grayson and the fans of those Rams, because Chase, I don't know if you read some of the social media posts going into that game. Their fans were just giving us the business, man. It was.
I did not get a chance to read any, but I got my son reading them to me.
Woo, man, it was funny. So anyway, guys, if you suffer from migraines, headaches of any kind, give these guys a call, Josh Batson and Justin Haskin at the Migraine and Spine Clinic of Valdosta, 229-333-9838. Thank you so much, guys, for sponsoring our show and sponsoring the Migraine Moment. We also want to thank White Oak Investment. Kyle Conger is your guy in these times of financial turbulence, up and down. Stock market was way up yesterday. Today it was way down again. But overall for the year, it's down big. So you need some sound financial advice. Kyle Conger is my guy. He can be yours as well. 229-850-8848. He also sponsors our White Oak Investment hotline as well as the comment line. So you guys want to take part in the party tonight? Give us a shout. The call-in number is 229-469-1205, or you can go ahead and simply just put your comments in the White Oak Investment comment line. We want to thank Matthew Godwin, Verizon Wireless on Perimeter Road. The iPhone 14s are out. If you need a new iPhone or you like Androids, you need accessories for your phones or small business accounts, Matthew Godwin at Verizon Wireless on Perimeter Road can surely help you. We want to thank Steve Nichols, our guy Steve. He does a fantastic job with a show that he does Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. every weekday, 6 to 9 a.m. I don't know how he gets up that early to keep you guys informed on the topics of the day and to get you fired up at the same time. So anyway, give Steve a shout at Freedom with Steve Nichols, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. We want to thank our friends at the Commercial Banking Company as well. You want to feel like you belong to an organization, or maybe that's not the right way to say it. You want to feel like you're part of the family when it comes to a financial institution. This is your organization. CBC, Commercial Banking Company. You walk through the door, they greet you by name because you're like family. If you need personal checking accounts, savings accounts, CDs, IRAs, auto loans, mortgage loans, and business loans, and I think they just had a recent announcement. Matt Malone has been named the new vice president of marketing for Commercial Banking Company. So you walk in the bank, tell Matt hello, and thank you for sponsoring the Viking Nation. So thank you so much to all these sponsors that make this show possible. Now, the group that we're here to talk about that makes everything possible, that we talk about anyway, are the mighty Lowndes Vikings. And man, were they mighty Friday night, Chase.
Yeah. Yes, they were. Oh, man, look, that was impressive to say.
That was impressive. So I went live with on the last play of the game. Lowndes was up 24-14, and Grayson was threatening. There was a little less than a minute left. There was about a minute left, right? They were threatening. They were down on our 22, 25-yard line, something like that, and was fourth down, right? Yeah. And, everyone knew what was happening, right? Because they had to get down to the 2-yard line for a first down. So everyone knew it was going to be thrown to the end zone. Or, as we saw the week prior, sometimes it doesn't take that. All you got to do is, it's no secret that our pass defense has been much maligned. So everyone knew that the big pass was coming, and we're all on our feet like, what in the world is about to happen? So I want to show you that last 60 seconds of that game. Here we go.
All right, you guys see that it's 24-14. Lowndes is up with 1:06 left. Grayson's got the ball on our about 25-yard line. It's fourth down. They've got to get to the 2.5-yard line to get a first down.
Here comes that crowd is getting loud, man. There's the pass. Batted down, and Vikings win.
Oh, my God! Vikings going to win this thing! Lowndes is going to knock off the number 2 Grayson Rams in the state. Oh, my God!
Yeah.
Chase, I cannot tell you how excited I was, man. I think you could hear it in my voice.
Oh, dude, I was there with you, man, and I was absolutely stunned. I mean, from start to finish.
Yeah.
I was just, where has this been? We've seen glimpses of it, but we haven't seen it from start to finish.
Yeah, and other people would agree with you. Travis Hart says if we play like that the rest of the year, we're going to be a dangerous team come playoffs. So he's admitted this. Travis is one of the doubters coming to that game. Franklin Webb, he says micro tasted good. So yeah, that was listen, there was a lot of us out there that didn't believe, but thank goodness that those players believed. Those coaches believed, right?
Yep, that's all it takes, man. If those kids buy in, it doesn't matter what we think. If those kids buy in and those kids believe in those coaches and those coaches believe in those kids, that's all it takes.
Now, I'm going to ask a question to the general audience, and then I'm going to ask you specifically because you had a conversation with Zach Grage about this. Guys, what do you think the difference was between the East Coweta outcome and Lowndes knocking off Grayson? From one week to the other, we saw poor play in 1 week, and then the very next week, we shocked the number 2 team in the state, the Grayson Rams. Now, you asked Zach Grage that very question. What did he tell you?
I did, and he point blank told me effort. It was all about effort. These kids come in after the East Coweta game and they believe that they were still one of the top teams in the state, and they put in the effort to achieve what they set in front of them, and that was 1 week at a time. That's the next game, and they put in so much effort this past week till it showed on the field Friday night.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And Scoop Davis hits the nail on the head. He says, when we play Viking style football, we hell. He said, that was Troy's way. That's Troy Davis. That's Troy's way of saying what you just said, right? When we play Viking style football, that effort that we're talking about, it's fine if we look, let me tell you, it's never fine when we lose, but it's easier to stomach if we see the effort there.
Yeah.
And Coach Grage was saying that was the big difference between Grayson and East Coweta effort. Now, 100% agree with him. I think there was a little bit more to that.
Yeah.
Just watching the game and how it developed, that kind of stuff. I think he's being a little bit modest. I think the coaching staff did a fantastic job of preparing the team, getting the mind right, and doing things a little bit different.
But now I want you to notice how when we went to East Coweta, we got beat by deep balls. We got beat by a lot of different things that they did through the passing game.
That's right. Yeah.
When Grayson come in, we took away the deep ball, gave them underneath, but we took away the deep ball.
That's true. Now, they still had a lot of passing yards. I would contend that that they were going to get their passing yards, especially in the second half, because they were just so bad.
Yeah.
So Georgia coach Trainer makes that point. He says, as bad as Grayson's QB was, he still had 300+ yards, switched some players out, but still a few more that should be out there on the secondary. I'm not sure who you're referring to, Georgia coach Trainer, but they did make some changes. I've noticed some newer players out there, especially in some certain downs, distances, that kind of stuff. Should there have been more changes? I don't know. I'll take your word for it. But anyway, let me go ahead and give kudos to these groups of individuals, right? So it was Military Appreciation Night, and all the pageantry was there, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody gets hyped up for the Bridgeman being on the field and the ROTC on there with the flag during the Pledge of Allegiance and the national anthem, not a Pledge of Allegiance, but during the national anthem, that kind of stuff. But it was Military Appreciation Night and was a little bit extra, a little bit more special. Let me go ahead and put some photos up on the show. So here's what I'm talking about. Man, the Concrete Crazies, the student section was just out of this world. They were lit.
I love those guys.
So my wife asked me a question the other day I didn't know the answer to. She was asking me, when did students start body painting themselves? Because it's been around as long as I can remember, but I don't know when our fans started doing it.
I don't remember when they started doing it. I know they've been doing it for years now at Lowndes. Yeah. I think they started doing it around the inception of the Concrete Crazies.
Could be. And that's their battle flag right there, the little white flag with the Viking logo on it. That's the Concrete Crazies battle flag. They're always there with their megaphones. They're giving the other team grief, but they are just look how packed that student section is. They were loud and they were proud. And kudos to the young men and women that served in the ROTC presenting the colors before the game. They did an absolutely fantastic job. I also want to recognize some of the veterans that were there. Unfortunately, that the songs they play go by so quickly, and I'm one guy and I can't take pictures of all the people, the veterans that are standing up, but I wanted to recognize just a couple that just kind of exemplifies why we celebrate that night. So I don't know who these veterans are, but they stood up and I was glad to take their picture. This certainly by no means all of them, these two, but they do represent the veterans that were there that night. And I want to say thank you so much to all the veterans that were there. Thank you for showing up. And even to the ones that are watching this broadcast tonight and you weren't at the game, thank you so much for your service. I sincerely, genuinely mean that, and I appreciate everything that you do for for our country on everyday basis. Thank you so much for being there that night.
Absolutely. Hey, Larry, before we move on,
Yeah.
Just want to let the Viking Nation know that your freshman team is undefeated on the year.
Woo!
They have beat Valdosta. They have beat Coffee.
Yeah.
They have beat Brooks County. And I just had a brain lapse because I can't even remember the other game they played.
Tiff County?
No, I wasn't. I see what you did there.
Everybody else beating Tiff County. Why not the 9-3 team?
Yeah. Doggone. I just had a complete brain lapse, Larry. My apologies. But
That's
anyways,
okay. It'll come to you.
On the year, and they have fought back from behind it. Oh, Coffee was.
Okay.
That's probably why I couldn't remember, because I don't like being over there. That's a hostile environment for a Lowndes fan.
It is.
But yeah, they have played from behind. But the freshman team played Brooks County's JV squad last night at the Concrete Palace, and they put on a show.
Oh, is that right?
Yes, sir. They got some guys going to be some problems, like Austin Everidge, Tyler Parker, Tate Snellgrove. They call him 250. He's the running back. I don't know why they call him that. I got no idea. I don't even know his name. Every time I ask somebody what his name is, it's like, that's 250.
Well, same thing. I guess they call what is it? Lean Brown Road Dog?
Yeah, Road Dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how these nicknames. I think back, I guess it's more than a decade, 15 years ago, something like that. We had a defensive lineman this is during Randy McPherson's era. We had a defensive lineman that would come in on short down situations. They called him the bus. Remember that? Was that Travarius? I can't remember his first name.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. So y'all help me out. Y'all longtime Viking fans, help me remember. Well, I just remember the bus's nickname, but I can't remember his actual name because everybody called him the bus. So anyway, I want to go ahead and recognize a couple of other things. Well, first of all, I got to put up that score one more time. How about those Lowndes Vikings, man? 24-14 winners over the Grayson Rams. And I want to call out a couple of players that really, really stood out. Jennifer Green, it wasn't Darius Perry. I mean, this was a big fella. It was a defensive lineman that would come in on short yardage situations, right? It wasn't Darius Perry, and they called him the bus, but I cannot remember. Tierra Battle says DeVaris Leonard. That's it. DeVaris Leonard. Yep. Thank you so much, Tierra. Tierra, I'm going to have to get you on the show because you are a huge super fan as well. So we were
college too.
She is. Yeah, her and her best bud Chase Calhoun, they are former Georgia Bridgemen. I guess I shouldn't call them former because once you're a Georgia Bridgeman, you're always a Georgia Bridgeman, right? Right. But those two have a wealth of Viking football knowledge. They still follow it, and we have a private text group that we chat back and forth as well, and we share information all the time. And they're very, very knowledgeable fans. I want to give a shout out to Marvis Parrish. He started out the season. Everybody knows the story, three-way battle, that kind of stuff. He won the job. But this young man has just grown and grown and grown and matured every single week. He's just gotten better and better and better. And this cat is I shouldn't say that. I just forgot what town I'm in. I should never call one of our players a cat, right? This dude.
There you go.
This dude is a sophomore. And he is going to get better and better and better as his career matures at Lowndes High. And so I wanted to give a shout out to Marvis Parrish because he threw some beautiful passes, deep passes. I think 3 in particular that connected with Kevis Thomas. As a matter of fact, this is one of them right here.
Right, there is a definite problem.
Absolutely, man. Put the ball on the money and you throw it to a superstar athlete like Kevis Thomas with the hands that he's got.
He played.
I think we should use that combination more often, man. I mean, it's a pretty combination.
Yeah, I mean, he played on a mission Friday night. He was not going to be denied. Whenever the ball was coming his way, he was going to come with it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So Sterling Hobbs, I agree, Sterling. He says he's coming in on his own, going to be one heck of a player. Already is, but he's going to be so much better. So much better. So anyway, so congratulations to these players. I also, what am I doing? I also want to give a shout out to another group of kids. That defense, man.
That defensive front was playing like they were possessed Friday night.
That defensive front was playing like their hair was on fire because they I think they took it personally. That loss to East Coweta and the defense was blamed, and rightfully so. I mean, even Grage said that the effort wasn't there, right? Mm-hmm. So maybe I shouldn't say that. The effort wasn't as high as he expected.
That's right. That's right. The effort didn't meet expectations.
That's exactly right. And so this defensive front needs all kinds of credits and kudos that we can throw on them because they responded. The bell was rung, and dang it, they responded, right?
Jaden Battle and that defensive front and those linebackers, they harassed that quarterback all night. And
here's another photo that I took. This is Ja'Kai Crawford? Is it? Dadgummit. Is it Ja'Kai Crawford?
I thought it was Mekhi Crawford.
You're right. Mekhi Crawford and Coleman Lewis on this tackle. And they just blew up this Grayson quarterback. Mm-hmm. He dropped this particular play. He dropped back in the pocket. Pocket started to collapse because Mekhi was after him, right? So he starts to scramble outside, thinks he's got a running lane. And all of a sudden, like a missile, Coleman Lewis comes in out of nowhere, and Mekhi helps to clean it up. And these guys, man, that front seven, they were just playing lights out.
Yeah.
They were helping our secondary play was much improved, but they were being helped out tremendously by that front seven getting after the quarterback.
Oh yeah, well you don't leave your secondary out to dry if you can get pressure with your pass rush.
Absolutely, because listen, the athletes that we play week after week, man, if you're a DB, there's only so many seconds that you can cover those guys before one of them's going to bust loose.
Well, right? Did you see the size of some of Grayson's receivers?
Yeah, I know, man.
I mean, they had some big receivers, Larry, and our defensive secondary did pretty good covering those.
Absolutely. So that's why I wanted to give a shout out to those guys, man. That defensive front, Coleman Lewis, Mekhi Crawford, a couple of others of those outside linebackers, they did a tremendous job. So kudos to those guys from all of us in the Viking Nation. Travis Hart says, that defensive front was the best I've seen in a few years. Man, they were good. Now, listen, Travis, that is saying something because we've had some really good defensive fronts that come through Lowndes, especially in the last few years. Thomas Davis was part of that.
That was the four horsemen of the Concrete Palace.
Yep. I can't remember the Hunter kids.
Jacquez Hunter.
I'm having a brain fart tonight, man. Jacquez Hunter and that group. I mean, that was an outstanding defense front. Travis Hart says that this defensive front was the best I've seen in a few years. That's pretty good. Tommy Cowart recognized it. He said, lights out. Yeah. Absolutely.
That defense played a complete game, and so did our offense. From our running backs to our receivers to our quarterback, everybody played a complete game from start to finish. Nobody quit. Everybody believed, and they just went in there and did what they had to do, and they played Lowndes Viking football Friday night.
I'm sorry, text just got my attention there, distracted me. Tommy Cowart makes an interesting point. I'm the one. I don't like to blame officials or anything, so I'm just going to point this out because it was obvious if you were watching. He says they held number 8 Mekhi Crawford all night. If they hadn't held him, he would have had at least half a dozen sacks. That's probably true because several of the photos that I got was him coming around that end, and it was a pretty good size offensive tackle. That was assigned to block Mekhi Crawford. And Mekhi is just a quick dude. He is fast and he's quick on his feet. and he was beating that guy badly most of the night.
Yeah, he was.
And the guy had no choice but to try to tackle him.
Yeah, that was
And I got several. I've got several of those shots. I wish I had it handy. I'd show it to you guys, but you know what I'm talking about. That's right. Creesha Taylor Turner Bailey reminds us Jaquez, Leon, Quentin, and Thomas Davis.
Yes, the four horsemen of the concrete.
The four horsemen of what do they call it? As part of the concrete curtain.
Yes, the concrete curtain. They were the four horsemen of the apocalypse. Because them boys, nothing fancy. They didn't stunt. They didn't twist. They just flat in their ears back, and they were coming.
That's right. So Casey Harold's got an interesting question, but I want to make sure I have this right because I think I know the answer to her question. She says, "Did I see?" She said, "Did I see Marvis Parrish playing defense several times? Scary." No, you did not. So there is a number 4 on defense as well, and they have very similar builds. Right. The very, very similar. So number 4 on defense is a 5'10". Let me tell you the metrics of these two, Marvis Parrish and the linebacker that we're talking about, the number 4 on defense. That's Johnny Bebo. So both of them are 5'10". Johnny is 183 pounds. Marvis Parrish is 166. I think Marvis has beefed up a little bit since this was taken, because he looks bigger than 166 pounds, and both are 10th graders. So they are very similar in stature. And so that's why you may have confused, or maybe that's why you thought Marvis was on defense, but no, that was not the case. So there are two, Sterling. Yeah, there are 2 number 4s. Yeah, you guys are saying what I just said. Okay. So here are some things to talk about. Chase, check this out. Some of the stats from the game the other night. These are just raw stats. I'm not going to provide any commentary yet. And I'm going to ask you to look at this, Chase. And then I'm going to ask you to provide some commentary. You know, Grayson was billed as the number 2 team in the state, nationally ranked. Can't remember. I think top 20, 25, something like that. But check out these stats from these 2 teams. And you tell me if these stats are so close together. Look at this. Number of plays, Grayson, 51, Vikings, 48. Total offense, 335 to 253. Time of possession, 22 minutes and some change, 25 minutes and some change. Rushing attempts. This is where the differences are really glaring. Grayson had 18 rushing attempts for 30 yards. 30 yards. The Grayson Rams were held to 30 yards rushing with that fantastic offensive front that they have. The Vikings, in contrast, 39 yards or 39 attempts, 123 yards. Passing, this is where sticks out like a sore thumb, the difference between these 2 teams. Passing, Grayson had 25 completions against 33 attempts. Marvis Parrish, he was very efficient, we should say. Right. 9 attempts and 8 completions. That's like a 92% completion rate or something like that. Some crazy. So the yards, passing yards were 305 to 130. So, and I think Grayson had 1 touchdown pass and 1 interception. That's pretty close. Those stats are pretty dang close when you take a look at the overall numbers. Let me ask you something, Chase. What sticks out to you that makes a difference going forward for this Lowndes team? Anything?
Maybe the passing completions and percent and attempts. Because I mean, what is that? 8 of 9?
Yeah, 8 of 9, and you know we've had more passing against other teams out there. Yeah. No, my audio is not messing up. So just to answer your question.
It may have been something on my end. But I'll tell you another one that jumps out at me is look at your attempts and your rushing yards.
Yeah.
And look at it versus theirs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really the difference between these 2 teams.
Yeah, we shut that run game down. That run game was going nowhere.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question. I'm going to turn this stat on its ear. Okay. let's project ourselves against Valdosta. And everyone has been talking about Valdosta's defense, in particular, their front seven and the way they're able to shut down the run. You know, they've got Eric Brantley, superstar defensive end over there, outright stud, right?
Mhm.
You've got I can't remember the nose tackle that has been not brought in, but transferred in from Lee County. He is a stud as well. Can't remember the
Yeah.
other defensive, but they are a very, very good defensive front. What
They are.
if I'm going to play the what if game, right? I don't think it's going to happen, but what if Valdosta is successful at shutting down or at least dampening or hindering Lowndes' rush game? Do we have the firepower on with our passing game, given the stats that we've seen, not just against Grayson, but the previous games? Do we have enough firepower in our passing game to overcome any type of slowdown in our run game?
I don't want to throw no fuel on that fire, Larry, but I'll tell you this much. I don't think they got anybody that can cover Kivas. And that's enough between Kivas Thomas, Jalen Carter, what's his name?
Keelan
Hicks. Between them three right there,
yeah,
that's enough offensive firepower, because if you watch, even though he doesn't get a lot of targets, Jalen Carter is open. We might as well change his nickname to the Waffle House.
That's right.
Because he is always open.
I think it's going to take more than Kivas to pass on that Valdosta. Or, you know, I'm expecting those guys to double up on him. I really am.
Yeah, you're going to have to.
You're going to have to.
But
so,
if you double up, you're leaving somebody else on an island by themselves with one of them other two.
That's exactly right. So I'm expecting Keelan. I'm expecting Keelan and Jalen to have big nights. I'm expecting Ronnie Davis to have a big night, right?
Yes.
I would not be
Evans as well.
You listen, I would not be surprised when Aleem Brown comes in as running back to see Smoke Fleming out there in the slot receiver position.
Hey, that'd be nice.
Yeah,
Larry,
you're talking about some.
I like the way you think.
You're talking about some matchup nightmares that presents.
Yeah, Smoke's a nightmare for anybody to match up again. His speed alone.
Absolutely. And I keep waiting for, and something, you know, we're going to talk about a lot more of these details next week, but I keep waiting for our tight ends to get more involved in the passing game as well. And I think we're going to start, I think this is my hunch now. I think we're going to start seeing that more and more going forward.
Yeah, Grage is smart. He's probably been, Grage and Sean Sutton are smart guys. They've probably been keeping that just a little up under their hat. Because you never want to show too much to that other school across town.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Hey, Jeff Dasher brings up a good point, and I want to make sure, because I had it in my notes to credit some other guys for that game the other night. But how about that kicking game?
Oh, yeah.
Jeff Dasher, he is a community coach, kicking coach, right? So he helps out with the kicking game. He says, I'm so proud of this team and my group of guys: Weston Edwards, Carson Page, Aiden Andrews, Edwards perfect snaps, Page with booming punts, and freshman Andrews with a great field goal and 100% on extra points. So shout out to the special teams play, especially the kicking game.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean,
you tried to tell me that Aiden Andrews had a leg.
that boy's got a boot now. I'm telling you.
He's a freshman.
Yeah. He missed one the other night from 48 yards out. And you got to look at it like this. Everybody's like, well, you know, he should have never attempted that from 48 yards out. This is high school. The fact that Grage attempted it tells you all you need to know about that kicker.
That's right.
Because, I mean, he barely missed it. When I asked Aiden what happened, he said, I come up underneath the ball a little too much.
Yeah.
I mean, he knew what he'd done wrong, and he barely missed it. Larry, me and you watched it go right up under the crossbar.
Yep. So he got up under it just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. And he'll learn.
One from what, 30? What was the other one? 30 something? It was into the wind.
Yeah.
So that's pretty impressive for a high school kicker.
Absolutely, especially a freshman kicker under
Yes.
that kind of pressure as well, man.
Yes.
So
And a freshman kicker that's his first year kicking a football.
absolutely. And how about Carson Page, man?
Oh, dude, that kid's got a boot for a punter. Oh my
Listen,
Lord.
we punted 5 times and we averaged 49.4 yards a kick.
Wow, that's pretty good. That's flipping the field.
That is flipping the field. He had a 52-yarder as well.
Mhm.
So
Oh yeah. But what amazes me about Carson is watch his punts and the way it spins.
yeah,
Like I'm going, how do you even do that as a punter?
right. Yeah, you could tell when he gets that ball in a spiral position, man, and that ball starts to turn over. He picks up another at least 8 to 10 yards when it turns over like that.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know. Tiara Battle makes kudos out to Carson. She says that he'll be one of the best kickers to come out of Lowndes since. Oh, she's talking about Aiden Andrews, but I think he's probably one of the best punters. Carson Page is one of the best punters to come out of Lowndes as well.
Yeah.
Now I will say that a few years ago we had a kid named Tyson Shaw. He was a linebacker, but it was also an excellent punter as well. So anyway, Jerry Sanford said had some good rolls. Yes, he did. Even when he didn't kick it, just square and didn't flush the kick, he got some great rolls, man. He really did. Especially when he was kicking into that wind. The wind was basically knocking it down.
Yeah, that wind was whipping.
Yep. And sometimes he got some very, very good rolls out of it as well. So anyway, and he does an excellent job holding the snap on field goals and extra point tries.
Oh, absolutely. And I wouldn't do that. My hat's off to him because there ain't no way I'm sticking my finger out there and let somebody kick at it.
Man, that is probably an unheralded role because everybody in this, no one really pays attention when everything goes perfectly, but everyone notices when the holder messes up.
Oh yeah. The laces were in. The laces were in.
You basically got a fastball coming at you from what, 5 feet away or 8 feet away, something like that. You got to catch that thing coming at you at a perfect spiral that fast, put it down in a matter of a fraction of a second, turn the laces out. So because your kicker's foot is kicking the ball as you turn the laces out.
Mm-hmm.
So controlled chaos. That's what that is.
And I've watched Weston Edwards snap the football and it's coming.
Yeah, it's coming fast. Coming fast.
Yeah, it is.
So anyway, shout out. Thank you, Jeff Dasher, for reminding us of those kickers. We talked about military appreciation night, defensive line. A lot of kids to talk about tonight, man. Kivas Thomas with the big plays, one after another. Carson Page, Aiden Andrews. All these guys had tremendous games, and we're going to need all of them to have another tremendous game when it's time to play Valdosta. Don't you think?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Yeah, it's going to start up front. It's going to start up front with those big boys. We're going to need to see the Mayflower Moving Company come to town against Valdosta. They're going to have to get strong. They're going to have to open up holes for Smoke and Road Dog up front.
Absolutely.
They got to.
Absolutely, man. Hey, I'm going to ask you a question. Let me see if I can get your answer on this one. Okay. How many games has Lowndes beaten Valdosta in a row?
5.
You're certain about that?
I'm pretty positive.
Right,
I think we're going for the 6-pack this year.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to pull it up by opposing program. Valdosta.
Yeah, because the last time they beat us, I think, was 2016, their state championship year.
That's right. So, do you know the overall record?
I do not.
Yeah.
I'm scared to ask.
Well, Valdosta leads this. I mean, the gap is closing. This will show you how wide the gap was. So, they still got us 37-23. So It's going to take a number of years, but if we keep rolling off these years at a time where Lowndes beats Valdosta, then So back in the 2004 to 2010 time frame, 1, 2, 3, we beat them 7 in a row. And then the next 5 years, the next 6 years, we basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The next 7 years, they got us 4 out of 3. In the last 5 years, Lowndes has won.
Mhm.
Now, the last 5 years, it hasn't even been close.
No.
So the closest score was actually last year.
Yeah.
When Lowndes beat Valdosta 21-0. Do you remember the 2018 debacle over at Bazemore Hyder when Travis Tisdale ran wild?
Valdosta fans, I believe Tisdale still scoring.
Hey, listen, Tisdale's actually back in town, and he's still scoring at Bazemore Hyder.
Yeah, exactly.
With a Valdosta State uniform on, right?
Hey,
so,
we'll go right up the middle. Tisdale, 77 yards to the house.
Yeah. So that was Lowndes winning that game 71-35. I would not complain about another score like that. Now I like Cretia Bailey's confidence. She says this will be the 6th year in a row. Now this is setting up to be probably the most competitive game in a while.
It's going to be like watching a heavyweight fight. I'm telling y'all now, if you're coming to watch a blowout on October 7th, don't come expecting a blowout, because it's fixing to be a slugfest. It's fixing to be a title fight for the ages.
That's exactly right.
Y'all, it's going to be worth the price of admission. Winnersville is this year.
That's exactly right. And so it is worth saying to the Valdosta fans that are watching tonight that Rush Probst's only year as your head coach, Jamie DuBose beat him 33-21. I just want to throw that out there.
Hey, I'm going to use your words from the other night. Can we go one show without mentioning his name?
But it was worth it on that one, man.
Okay, fair enough.
We're just having fun. So speaking of Bernadette Robinson says she will be present at that game. Guys, listen, if you want to be present at that game, hopefully you have your season ticket. So starting – actually, we've already started, but I've already been asked, hey, when can we start getting tickets, that kind of stuff. Well, Travis Hart, you're exactly right. It is going to be a playoff atmosphere, no doubt. This is going to be the most competitive game. Now, do you think, Chase, guys like Lauren Maxwell, who puts out the Maxwell projections, he usually puts it in his computer system, and it comes out with a line, basically a line on the game, right?
Yeah.
He had Grayson winning this game by 17.
Yeah.
But he was slightly off on that one. You think the computer models and the pundits across the state are going to favor Valdosta in this game?
Yeah, probably.
I do too. Valdosta's coming into this game as the consensus number 5 team in the state. And I think Lowndes is coming into this game as the number 10 team in the state. Okay. So Valdosta's 6-0. Lowndes is coming into this game 3-2. So yeah, much of the state is expecting a Valdosta win. Now, before Lowndes beat Grayson, it was probably safe to say that the line probably would have been 2 scores, right?
Yeah.
But our players, they kind of threw a monkey wrench into that whole thinking there. Now,
absolutely.
Now everybody's looking at this Grayson result thinking, is the real Lowndes team finally here? And so they kind of made people kind of take a step back and wonder, okay, so now should Lowndes be favored in this game? We'll go into all those details on next week's show, but it's an interesting question because before the Grayson result, most people thought that this was the year of the cat over our Lowndes Vikings. And probably a lot of our fans would have probably said the same thing. But now,
not this one.
I've been saying all year long that I'm going to remind people what I've been saying all year long. Okay. I had to remind someone this week, the first 5 games, the first half of the year, you are going to see one team in the Lowndes Vikings The second half of the year, you are going to see a completely different team because of the experience, not just experience, but the experience against some really good teams, right? So how does growth usually happen?
Yeah. Look, Lowndes has played some really good teams out the gate. Look, we played.
Uh-oh, your video kind of cut out on me, Jace. Come back in and I'll put you back on the screen. So one of the things that that I pointed out in the pregame blitz show on Tuesday night are the strength of schedules of these two programs, right? So I'm going to, there he is. Let me go ahead and get Chase back on the screen. Chase, where I was getting ready to talk about the strength of schedule between these two programs, even though Valdosta is 6-0, their strength of schedule is 16.0 according to Max Preps. Lowndes' strength of schedule is 38.4. So without a doubt, our Lowndes Vikings have played tougher teams. Now, is it enough to prepare this team for the run that we're going to have to make during the region part of the schedule? I think it is, man.
Yeah, it is. It is. It legit is. We've played perennial powerhouse American Heritage, which was a good game. It wasn't terrible, but it was a good game. And then we turned around and we played, I think it was Gadsden. Or no, we played who did we play second? North Miami Beach.
Well, we played I think we played Gadsden first, then North Miami Beach, East Coweta, and then
we lost to East
Grayson.
Coweta. Yeah. So the two losses that Lowndes has are against really, really good programs. So, and then you have a big win over a team like Grayson, and you look at it, you go, okay, this we've been battle tested. Now we know what it takes to get past that point.
That's right.
So
yeah, so
here's
the way that I view it. It doesn't matter if you are striving to get better in your professional career. You could be a sales guy, you could be a CEO, you could be a mechanic, you could be a teacher. We grow the most when we fail, when we get challenged and we make mistakes and stumble, and that's how we grow. Do we really grow when we pummel a team that we're supposed to beat 100-0? And you go through the motions and you beat them 100-0, but you know what? Your weaknesses were not exposed. Therefore, you can't work on them.
Yeah. Well, here's the one thing I want a lot of people to take into account also is Lowndes has played really good opponents for let's say 65% of the season so far.
Correct.
Right. So, and Lowndes' starters, their studs, their go-to guys, even their rotational guys have had to play 4 quarters of football. Okay.
Yep.
Valdosta has played against, let's face it, some weaker opponents.
Yeah.
And a lot of their starters have not had to play 4 quarters. A lot of their starters have been out by halftime, maybe halfway through the 3rd quarter. So you got to really question, is your conditioning really there?
Yeah.
Can you last for 4 quarters when you're going toe-to-toe with Lowndes across town?
Well, we're going to see. We're going to see. Now, it's basically two trains of thought that are colliding on October 7th, and we're going to see which one is the better philosophy.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, let me throw up before the show ends in a few minutes. Let me throw up the ticket information, guys. I hope you can see this. But here's the ticket information. On Monday night, October 3rd, tickets will be sold to Viking Touchdown Club members according to their priority. These tickets may be purchased at the Touchdown Club meeting held in the back room of the Smoking Pig restaurant, beginning at 5:30. Y'all got it? If you're a Touchdown Club member, starting at 5:30, back room of the Smoking Pig restaurant, the side part, you basically start lining up on the side of the restaurant. There's a little side door. That's where you start lining up. And at 5:30, they're going to start selling those tickets. So fans who were members as of September 19th fans who are members as of the September 19th meeting may purchase tickets. So if you join the Touchdown Club after the 19th, then we welcome you into the club, but you can't take part in this part of the ticket allocation. The Touchdown Club is still accepting members, but members joining after the 19th will not have a ticket priority for this game. And here's the important part for the vast majority of our fans. Also on Monday night, October 3rd, season ticket holders may purchase additional tickets for this game. You can purchase the number of reserve seats they hold at Martin Stadium. These tickets can be purchased at the ticket office beginning at approximately 7:30 p.m. And then all unsold tickets will go on sale to the general public on Tuesday morning, October 4th at 7 a.m. These tickets will be sold at a ticket office located in the Board of Education building on Norman Drive. So there you go. That's the ticket information for Lowndes. Here's the takeaway message. If you want a guaranteed ticket to the Winnersville Classic when it's at Martin Stadium, become a season ticket holder. That is the easiest way to make sure you have a ticket to the Winnersville Classic every single year. Oh, yeah. All right, so guys, starting Chase, you've had a big hand in this year. So a lot of you don't know this, but Chase has really started helping our production here on the Viking Nation. Maybe you've started to see him on the sidelines on Friday night, and he's doing things like helping me take photos, doing videos, that kind of stuff. And you're going to start to see some of that effort being displayed on the show leading into the Winnersville game next week. So you put together some hype videos for the game, Chase, and we're going to start debuting those on sometime this weekend.
Sunday,
right?
Sunday. Tune in Sunday. Be watching the Viking Nation. We're going to start dropping those. We're going to drop one Sunday, one Tuesday, and then if Larry wants to, we'll debut one Thursday night right here on the Viking Nation.
Yeah. So we're going to have some fun with those videos. They're just short clips, but I think you'll like them. I've seen a preview of the two that's been developed so far, and I like them a lot. I really do. So I think you'll like them too. So Chase, thank you so much for the help that you've given this year, man. I really do.
I'm loving the opportunity, Larry.
Absolutely. So guys, let's go back to our White Oak Investment comment line, see what you guys are up to. Sterling Hobbs says, he's exactly right. He says, those kids put everyone on notice last week. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Let's see. It kind of reminded me of, I'm going to go in the way back machine, Chase. I don't know if this was before your time or not. This takes me back to Buster Douglas against Mike Tyson.
That's probably before I paid attention to boxing.
Yeah. So you've heard of the name Mike Tyson.
Oh, yeah. Everybody knows who Iron Mike is. Absolutely.
He was a dominant boxer, right? He was the Grayson Rams of that day.
Oh, yeah.
Then along comes this guy, Buster Douglas, and he knocks Tyson out. And he becomes the heavyweight champ.
Yeah.
So anyway, so then Buster got the big head, and then he got knocked out by somebody.
Well, we ain't trying to get the big head. We are extremely proud of our Vikings, and the Vikings themselves are extremely proud of what they pulled off Friday night. But I can tell you, this bunch is hungry, and they are taking it one game at a time. Yeah, they celebrated that win, but that celebration only lasts for a day. So
absolutely,
you got to go back to work.
That's right. So in the last minute of the show, Wesley McDade brings up a really, really great point. He said the past two games show how hard it is to play on the road in high school. Defense played fast and tackled much better. I want to highlight the first part of his statement. The past two games show how hard it is to play on the road in high school.
Yeah.
That's true.
Oh, yeah.
And you know who's going to be playing on the road
in the
Winnersville Classic? The Valdosta Wildcats. That means they're coming to our place, our house. And if our fans show up the way they did against Grayson and more importantly, were as loud in the Winnersville Classic as they were in that Grayson game, oh my gosh.
Look,
it's going to be a hostile environment.
I want to second what you said earlier. I was down there when Grayson was on their own. What was it? I think they're on 10.
Yeah.
And the student section, I was standing right there down on the sidelines where the cheerleaders were, and the student section was right there on my back. And let me tell you something. I don't see how they could. The players can't even hear.
Right.
There's no way, because they were even confused. They're looking at each other going, I can't hear you.
It was loud, man. It was loud.
It was awful. Like, oh my Lord, it was bad.
Yeah. So guys, do your part. Keep it up. Keep it up. Not just after the band gets a warning, even though that to me, that's magical, but all throughout the game, because that is it's truly going to be a 4-quarter game against Valdosta, because make no mistake, they are a good team, even though they haven't played the strongest competition. I think that they are a really, really good team this year, and they are a dangerous team, and they can beat us, but we can certainly beat them if everybody does their part. I'm certain the players are going to be ready. The coaches are going to be prepared to coach their butts off. The fans, the band, everybody, the concrete crew, everybody's got to get involved, because you know what? Valdosta is going to have a good sized crowd there as well. I mean, we're going to overwhelm them with the number of fans that we have in the stadium, but they make no mistake. They're going to have 15 to 2,000 people there.
Oh, they probably have more than that.
Yeah, so they're going to make a lot of noise. So we got to win the battle of the crowd that night, the entire game, because you saw it. The energy from the crowd fed our players. It really did against Grayson.
Oh, it did. It did.
Yeah.
They fed off of that tremendously, big time. So did the coaching staff.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And a couple of commenters mentioned already that it felt like a playoff atmosphere, and it certainly did. So here on out, it's region play. So that basically is a playoff by default. So our number one goal is to win the region title, so we can have as many games as possible at home during the playoffs. That gives you a decided advantage. So anyway, guys, that's going to wrap it up for our show tonight. Thank you so much for showing up and showing out against Grayson. We're off tomorrow night, but we got a big game, the Winnersville Classic, next Friday night, 8:00 at the Concrete Palace, Joe Wilson Field at Martin Stadium. So anyway, join us for next Thursday night's game. On behalf of Chase Garnto, I'm Larry Godwin. You've been watching the Viking Nation Live. Go Vikings.
Go Vikings.